So today we're putting up the Samsung microwave oven because all the stuff was delivered today. So all the appliances with the refrigerator, the stove, which will go in later, and then the dishwasher will go here. And like you can see, I scrubbed down all of the cabinets inside and out, and I put a nice coat of protective oil on it, make it nice and neat and clean. There was a little bit of over splatter from cooking and everything that was here, and I took care of all of that. And of course that one's never used, so it was clean to begin with. And up here we're gonna put some glass in, but yeah, it's just one thing after another. Anyway, so over here I have to put this up on the wall here. Obviously I'll do that straight when I get two hands, but then you put up this is your little template they give you, and you can attach the microwave up here. Hopefully I can reuse the same holes that were there from before, but we'll find out as we get to that point. So you got to find your studs, which I did right there, and I marked them so that when this goes up, I know where to drill, because you got to have studs holding this up, because even though the microwave itself isn't very heavy, you still want it to be able to support it as much as possible. Plus you got the two bolts that come through the top of the cabinet there to hold it up. But like I said, it's not very heavy, but you want it to be secure as much as possible. So this is a pretty stupid little deal right here. So it says when you get this, you read the book, it says cut this line. Yeah, how am I going to cut that line? Like, I got scissors and time and energy to take care of that. But look, so from the top here to the bottom where this little bracket clips in, that's 16.5 inches. If you measure from the edge, and if you don't cut this, if you measure from the edge all the way down to the edge of the paper, as you can see, it's 16 and what, 3/4? 15 16ths, 14 6, yeah. So 16 and 7/8 of an inch, right? So if you put it up here and you put the edge up there and you measure down, you're gonna come down here and it's gonna be too low, right? So then you're gonna have that much of a gap up here. So what you have to do is actually measure from here down to here, which is 16.5, all right? So you gotta keep that in mind and then level it out. So that's gonna be the bottom of where that bracket goes, right there. And then you put your center line in it like that. As you can see, it's perfect, ready to go. And then you just level it and drill your holes. But yeah, don't just tape this edge up flush with what you're gonna do and then expect the bottom of this edge to be fit up right here. So you gotta push that up or fold it up. I guess you can fold it over or whatever, but that just gets your template where it needs to be. Otherwise, like I said, you can simply measure it, see right there to the bottom, but if you measure up there, it shows that it's at 16.5 roughly. So that gives you, that's where you need to be. So just pointing that out there. And then you put it on, measure it, make sure everything's still where it's supposed to be. As you can see, it's still level. Moved off a tiny smidge on the center line, but I'm not really worried about that because I got plenty of room between the cabinets here to have a little bit of space to move it if I need to. So that's how that goes on. All right, so this particular microwave comes with 3 different ways to vent. You can either go up into the attic and out the side. You can go out the front, which I'm going to do, or you can go out of the back through the wall and everything else. So it's pretty simple. All I have to do is take this off, pull it out, rotate the motor and put it back, and then put this up on top. So let me do that, and I'll show you how it's done. Here's what I find kind of funny. It says right here, frequently clean all grease from the fan and all other grease-laden surfaces. frequently remove and clean charcoal filter. Okay, so I can understand how to change this, but how are you supposed to, what, they want you to take this whole unit off the wall and then remove this fan and clean it? That's kind of ridiculous. I mean, I don't know who's going to be able to do that. I don't know if anybody ever knew that was supposed to happen like that. But anyway, so I don't know. It's just one of those silly things that manufacturers make suggestions that we do. Anyway, so you take this off. You take this out. I got to use two hands when I take this out because I don't want to stretch the wire. So I'm going to put the camera down for a second. And then it says to rotate this 90 degrees and set it back down in there like that. And that way it sucks it up from the bottom of the unit down here and sucks it up on the sides or on the bottom and then forces it straight out. I don't know if you can see, but there's a little duct that goes here out along the top here, and it focuses, and all the air will come out here. You got to be careful because this metal is so thin, as you can see, I distorted it. I don't know if I did it or it was done like that from the factory, but either way, you just use a simple pair of pliers, go in there and kind of clean it up as much as you can. And you pull this down, put the screw back in here. And then as you can see, it says front or bottom. So then you got to place this back up on the top there. Make sure it goes down under those little tabs right there. Slots, whatever you want to call them. And then put the screw back in there. Now something that's very important, it says right here, it's backwards, but I'm not going to flip around, I'll tell you. It says you have to put this up here to prevent fire. And I'll take their word for it. I'm not going to take that chance, but it makes sense to an extent. I don't know, did I put that on? I think I put that on wrong, but it's not staying down. Yep, I got to slide it in this way. So yeah, so this piece slides in instead of the way I did it. Of course, right? It's the way it always is. At least there's only one screw. It's kind of hard to do this with one hand. Anyway, that's how you do it. So that way it's held down on all four corners. A lot more secure. Nothing's going to leak out there. I mean, I don't know how secure that is. That's a hole. There's a hole there. So, but it keeps, I guess, the main portion of the grease and what have you from coming up, and then that would just build up and cake up here. You get a spark, and then boom, and up goes your house in flames. So I got to put in the little charcoal filter, which goes in here. So you take these little screws out. So here's the deal. This little filter is going to go inside here. All right. So it's one of those things, you got to clean it off. I don't know if you can read it, but it says only whatever type of filter. It's got the numbers on it. It just doesn't make sense. I mean, this stuff was printed in China, so I'm just gonna tell you, you got to replace this every so often. And the thing is, it doesn't say how often. I would say at least once a year you want to throw this out and get a new one. If you use the fan constantly, you know, on a daily basis. If not, you take it on your own as far as when to clean this out. But this, I don't even know why they call this a charcoal filter. It's just a piece of foam and some metal grating right there. And it's supposed to stop the big particles and the dust and not the dust, but the smoke. I don't know how it does it, but you know, they say it does. I'm not even going to take their word that it does. I'm just going to tell you that I highly doubt it. It's not going to stop a lot of the smoke from coming back into your house, but we'll figure it out. Anyway, you pull down on this gently, and as you can see, this piece goes behind the hinge. So I think the door has to be opened a little bit more. I need two hands so I don't break this. All right, well, this is a pain in the neck because this is not releasing over here on the side. But anyway, I pulled it apart just enough. And as you can see, it goes in there. It kind of sits at a 45-degree angle or so to, you know, this way going back with the top. The top's back here and the front, the bottom is down here. Anyway, when you put it in, I don't know if you can see it or not, but there's little plastic cleats that are kind of pressing up against it. And that's supposed to hold it. It does say mesh side up, so that's how it is. Now let me put it back and see how it's going to hold it. All right, look, I figured it out. there's these little L-shaped tabs on the bottom. So basically they're under here. And they go in these little holes right here. So what you do is you push it to your left and then it pops out. So be careful, because as you can see, I kind of distorted these a little bit here. It's still going to work once I get it back in. But anyway, as you can see inside, this thing just kind of sits right there on that little goofy, whatever you want to call it, however it's supposed to be there. Oh, there it is. That's even better. So it sits right there in that section. Is that going to stop a bunch of grease and stuff? I don't know. We'll find out. I don't think a lot of grease is going to make it up that far anyway. I don't know how powerful that fan is, but I don't know. Let me put this back together. So as you can see, you just put it back in there. It's pretty easy once you get everything lined up. And then turn these screws. There's going to be 3 of those. And then when you close it, make sure that it's all even. And then hang it up from there. After further review, we must destroy Gab, whoever that is. I'm not quite sure what's going on here, but somebody needs to do some editing before they send stuff out. There might be some madman looking for Gab to destroy completely. I am in luck because the holes that were there from the previous microwave, so this comes in about 8.5, right? And it's like 1.5 inches over for this little hole right here, because the bolt's going to come down through the top and go right in there. This one is pretty close to that. You know, it's a little shy, so I can make it. I can make that hole a little bit bigger, as you can see, and then the same thing from the edge here. If I can get my tape to show, right? So it's pretty close. I don't know if you can see that on the camera and make it out, but it's pretty close. I measured it before. Like I said, I just need to make the hole a little bit bigger right over on this edge. Same thing with this side. So let me do that, and then I'll put this up on the hole. Keep in mind, this is typically a 2-man job. You can do it with 1, as you can see I am here. But I want to test fit it. I hooked it back on that rack you can see right there, and I got it in. It looks really good on that side, really good on that side. Everything's good. Now I'm just going to lower the front down a little bit because it's hinging actually on that wall bracket, as you can see. All right, so now that you make sure it test fit, everything is fine. Don't be a dumbass like me and forget the hardware over here, and you have to take it down and do it all over again. Luckily, like I said, the microwave is pretty light, so it's able to be, I can pick it up and maneuver it in place where it goes without a lot of energy. So there's where the cord's going to come out. But again, this is a 2-handed job, so I got to put the camera down. I'm going to try to set this here. Maybe it'll work. You got to put your finger in this little slot so that you know where the tab is on the wall. Make sure it's all lined up. But this cabinet is pretty tight, so it goes in there pretty easily. Wiggle it a little bit, make sure it's in. Double check. Yeah, it's good. And this is where it gets tricky. Put that in there with one hand. Little cheek assist. Put that up. And then turn it quite a bit. This one. That's the easy part. trying to find a hole is not easy sometimes. I can't see directly into it. Let me see. All right. And of course, well, maybe I didn't make my hole big enough. Anyway, as you can see, I got that one's not started. That one didn't quite easily, but this one is just going around in circles. So there's nowhere for me to, and I can't, you can't see under there. So let me put this down. All right, so after some modifying the holes, I got that one in, I got that one in, and the thing is, you really don't know when these are tight because there's not a lot of resistance, and I don't want to pull that nut out of the top of that. So it's tight. It's not, see, I'm trying to move it. It's not shaking at all. And it doesn't show in the instructions. Oh, look at that. Electricity still works. Perfect. So it's all good to go. And that's how you do it. And again, you just double check. The only thing I'm having a problem with is, it works. So I didn't build these cabinets. Whoever did, they goofed up a lot. In fact, I don't even want to get into it, but those are 1.5 inches higher. It's just so much stuff. I'm not even going to get into it, but they're up there. They look pretty. They function. They do what they're supposed to do. This is here. Next, I'll put in the oven and the dishwasher and everything else. So next time, you guys, if you're doing it yourself or you're doing a home improvement job on your own as a homeowner, and you go to order the appliances, and on those appliances it says, "Hey, we'll do this for you for $100." Don't think that $100 is a lot of money, because if these holes weren't done already drilled in the top of this, you can see it's quite a bit of work. Again, it's not rocket science. It's not something that can't be done by one person. If you've never done this before, trying to do it yourself can be tedious. But as you see, I did it all by myself, even though it does say in the instructions 2 people. It does make it a little easier. You don't have to hold it up with your shoulder and try to put the screws in, or hold it up with your leg or what have you. Anyway, that's up. Tell me what you guys think, if you would have done it different, what have you. Everybody has their way of doing it, but it's up there, it works, and it's good to go. So the new homeowner can enjoy it. All right, so y'all know what to do with all those buttons down below, and talk to you later.